Hi. I wanted to talk about the books that I read in June and the books that I'm going to read in July. And I have my little notes here. I did make notes. If you know, you know. Yeah, so let's just get started. The first book that I read was The Shining, and I'll put a picture of it because I read it from the library, so I don't actually have the book. And I gave it a 5 out of 5. I don't think I need to say much more than that. The Shining is really popular. The movie is, which is really great. And if you love the movie but you haven't read the book, I recommend reading the book. The ending is different. There are some other things that are different that I definitely think are worth reading the book for. It was just really good, and just 10 out of 10 would recommend. If you don't know what The Shining is about, it's about this family that goes to stay at a fancy hotel over the winter to upkeep it, and this hotel is known for having some bad things happen within it. Yeah, and that's all I have to say about The Shining, which is by Stephen King, if I didn't say that. And then the next book I read, I do have. It's Film for Her by Orion Carloto. Orion Carloto. I don't know how she says her name. I'm back. I forgot to turn my air conditioner off. So where was I? Film for Her by Orion Carloto. It's a poetry collection, but it does have a lot of beautiful images that she took on film. And it's really good. The back of it has this nice little thing, a storybook of people, places, and memories captured on film. So a lot of the poems are related to pictures or short stories that she has in here. And I gave this a 4 out of 5. I really, really liked it. And I am one of those people that likes to read reviews after I finished a book. And I was reading a lot of reviews of this book that did not like it. I think mainly because she's somebody that started on YouTube, and for some reason the writing of people that start on YouTube is super discredited for some reason because they got famous on social media. But anyway, but the reason that they didn't like it, other than that, was that they thought it was really shallow and that she was building like this world around herself, like trying to live the life of a poet, you know. And I don't understand. I loved it. I thought it was great. It reminds me a lot of the lifestyle of Oscar Wilde. I'm not comparing the writing, I'm just comparing the lifestyle. Like, he was very, at the time, into aesthetics, and she is also very into aesthetics. Like, neo-aestheticism is a whole thing that's going on right now, like with cottagecore and dark academia and everything like that. And that's kind of where she is, and if you've watched any of her YouTube videos, that's where she has been. Like, that's part of her thing, and she does not hide that, and she doesn't hide, like, she doesn't stray away from the cliches that are connected with that, which I really love personally. So I mean, I liked her book, and it was simple, and I think a lot of people expect poetry to be extremely profound, but what she did in this book was talk about things that she found to be beautiful, and not everything that you're gonna see personally as beautiful is gonna be some big, profound thing, thought, concept. So the next book that I read was Tinder's the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I can never say his name, F. Scott Fitzgerald. And I gave it, do not hate me, a 2 out of 5. I liked the plot. However, I found the plot kind of difficult to follow. So it's about, it starts out from the perspective of an American actress, Rosemary, and she's in France on vacation, and she meets this couple, Nick and Nicole Diver, and they're very interesting. They seem to be perfect, but where we start is the middle of the story of Dick and Nicole. So we're actually following their story, but we start in the middle of their story from the perspective of Rosemary, and then like a third of the way through the book, we go to Dick's perspective, and it's from the beginning, like before he even meets Nicole. And then we continue on from there. So it goes middle, beginning, and then the last third of the book is like the end of their story, the story that's in here. So it was fine. I just wasn't. I found it hard to switch perspectives of people because it felt like we weren't just like in 1Q84 where we have one chapter from one character and one chapter from another. It was like we have this whole third of the book that we're like, I thought Rosemary was our main character, and she's not. Like, that's not. The structure was really weird, and that's the only reason that I didn't really like it. It pulled me out of the story and just made me have to think too hard about what was going on and where we were and who we had met yet, who we hadn't met yet, and how that affected their relationship at the point in the book that we were at. So, yeah, 2 out of 5. The next book that I read was Take Your Selfie Seriously by Sorrel Moore. And it's really a handbook for the advanced selfie, which is just her version of self-portraits. So self-portraits as art. And then she branded them as the advanced selfie because she was like coming up with this concept and trying to do these things around the rise of Instagram. So, you know, instead of the classic or mirror selfies, she did very artsy stuff. And they're beautiful. I love it. And I loved this book. I read it all in one day, as I tend to do. I also did that with Film for Her, which it's a poetry book and a handbook, which is both relatively short. But I read them both in one sitting, and then I've been going back and doing like the exercises that she puts in here and trying to create like my own self-portraits. And I think it's gonna be a really good project for like self-awareness and body positivity, if you will, maybe body neutrality, just kind of getting used to seeing my body and seeing it in a way that is artistic and pleasing to me and not just as something for other people to look at, you know what I mean? And so it's very empowering and I love it. I love that a lot. So there's not much else to say about that since it's a handbook. But yeah. The last book that I read this month was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I gave this a 4 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. I know the story of Frankenstein's really, really common. A lot of people know it. But I did not know it as well as I thought I did. And I am willing to guess if you haven't read this, then you don't either. And I love that. Well, I mean, I love it and I hate it. Like, Frankenstein's monster that we see him portrayed in a lot of movies and things is not it's not how he was in the book. I gotta look at my notes. I made a lot of notes on this book because it infuriated me. Like, I loved it, but it was also super infuriating. So one of the big things is Frankenstein is so intelligent. So Frankenstein's monster is so intelligent, and I feel like that's one of the things that is super overlooked. And it's not really a giveaway. What is it called? It's not a spoiler or anything, but he's actually really smart. And Dr. Frankenstein is so dumb. Like, and I think that the irony, I don't know if it's irony, but the intelligence and the eloquence of Frankenstein's monster in relation to the stupidity of Dr. Frankenstein through a lot of this book is hilarious. It was hilarious, but it was also infuriating. Like, I was sitting there the whole time like, how can you have created life from no life, and then like, you're so intelligent to scientifically be able to figure that out, but then you're just so dumb. Like, through the rest of the book, you're just an idiot. And I don't understand There's a whole other character. Like, the reason it's a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5 is because the way that she structured it, it's like somebody is writing a letter to their loved one and retelling them this story. So there's a whole other character that was necessary in the way that she structured it, but in my opinion was just unnecessary to begin with. I mean, it kind of sort of made the story more interesting near the end, but that's it. That's all. And that was just boring to me. That beginning part where you're reading about this person that at this point makes no sense to you and has nothing to do with the rest of the plot. Do you ever feel that way, you know? Do you ever feel like you're talking with someone in real life that has nothing to do with the rest of the plot? Might be me. Anyway, I don't know if I've said everything that I wanted to say about this. I've been kind of rambling. I want to go more in depth. Like, I'm having trouble not giving away parts of the book. So if you want me to make a rant about Frankenstein, the book, and the doctor, let me know, because I will do that. Like, I wish I had done like one of those reading vlogs that people do where they just follow them reading a book, and then I would have just been like you could have seen me. Like, I almost threw this off of my spot tower one day. Obviously not, because there were people below me, but if I could, I would have. So now we're on to the TBR list, which I'm so excited for, because July is going to be a hell of a month at work. We're tacking 2 shows and closing 1 show, and then figuring out the changeover process of the then 3 shows that we will have in circulation. So that's great. So the first book that I picked up is The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. I've heard a lot about this guy, but I've never read any of his stuff. So I've been kind of into classics lately and classic authors. So I kind of wanted to see what he was all about. I have no idea what this book is about. It was just one of the most interesting titles that wasn't directly related to war. I'm not a huge fan of war novels, so I'm excited to see what this is all about. So I'm reading a book on my phone right now on the Libby app, which you can get through your library. But I'm reading The Truth About Keeping Secrets by Savannah Brown. It looks like that. And that is how much time I've spent reading. I'm almost done with it, to be quite honest with you. I just have a few pages left, so I could review it, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna save it. Anyway, The Truth About Keeping Secrets, which is about a girl who loses her dad, and that's not a spoiler. That's, you know, you learn in the first line. I want to read you the first line, but I'm in the middle of the book and I don't want to lose my place. So I might insert the first line here and let you read it. Is that not a kick-ass first line? If it's not, then I don't know what is. But anyway, I really like it. She's another person that started on YouTube. She got popular on YouTube, and then she got popular through her poetry that she was making videos for on YouTube, and then she started writing novels, which is really cool. And I really like them. Anyway, yes, the Truth About Keeping Secrets is on my list, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Like, have not been able to put it down. I hope my work's not watching, because I do read during the show when I'm not spotting people. Anyway, so the next book that I picked up from the library this month is The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice. I have read Interview with a Vampire and I loved it. I loved it. Of course, I had an obsession with vampires back in the day. Might still be that day. I'm very, very excited. I'm very excited to read this. So basically it follows Lestat, who is one of the main guys in Interview with a Vampire. And if you haven't read that one, I'm not 100% sure on if these like if you have to read these in order, I think you need to read Interview with a Vampire to get a basis of who these people are, but she has a whole bunch of books. Like I can't remember what it's called. It's like the Vampire Chronicles or something. And so it's all about the vampires in that world, and I think it all stems from Interview with Vampire. So excited. I don't know what it's about other than about Lestat, so yeah. I do have tea tonight, sponsored by my aunt once again. This is I need to look at the camera, I do have tea again tonight, sponsored by my aunt. It is Queen of Babylon, also from Tivana. It's really good. It's white tea. I like it a lot. Great for filming at 2 in the morning. Beautiful. So the next book on my TBR is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I bought this copy from a thrift store before I got my library card, and then I realized that it's an old library book from that library, which is just a little fun fact. So I hope nobody stole this and then I bought it. But anyway, Pet Sematary, which I mean, I don't know much about it other than there's a cemetery where people put their pets, and I assume something spooky happens there because he's a spooky writer. So yeah, I'm excited. Since I love The Shining, that was kind of my first introduction to Stephen King other than like movies. And so I loved it, and I loved the way that he wrote, so I'm excited to try another one of his books out. Oh boy. I don't know if you noticed, but I had another book on my TBR list for June that I did not read, and it was The Secret Life of Houdini. So it is again on my TBR for July. I didn't pick it up at all. I didn't get any further than I was before, and I'm not really going to explain again. Well, I guess I could. So these people were researching Houdini, and they found a lot of correlations to him potentially being a spy back in the day. And my camera's about to die. So thank you for watching. And that's it. That's all I had to say. I'm kind of just waiting for my camera to die now. Yep, she's blinking at me.